And recording. So, I'm going to have a change in my schedule relatively soon. So, I'm not sure when I'll be able to record more videos, more reactions. So, I figured I'd do something today since I'm actually in kind of a good mood, which is different for me. um, yeah, a lot of good things have been happening recently. Um, like a string of good luck, and there's lots of like omens in the air. Like the weather is real overcast. There was an earthquake earlier, so things could change pretty quickly. So I'm embracing the fact that today has been kind of a good day. The last couple of days have been kind of good. So I wanted to have like a positive kind of night, and I want to start it off. Excuse me. I wanted to start it off. Nah, just like a general discussion. I'm curious because from time to time I do get um, comments saying, "Oh, you should check out this band. You should check out this band. You'll probably like this. You'll probably like that." But I am kind of curious to see if anyone will respond with. I'm gonna title this video "Top Five Bands" because this is one of those things that I generally it's a talking point, a question that I generally reserve for like girls that I'm interested in. Or like if I'm gonna date someone, this is one of the first questions I'll ask. Maybe not the first, but it's one of those. Or even if it's just like just shooting a shit with some like a new buddy or something. Eventually we'll get to it. I'll just say, hey, so like, what kind of music do you like? And I would just go top five, go for it. And there's a couple of different ways to answer that. Like for like me personally, I have two sets of top five. I have the top five bands that kind of shaped me, that I love, that are kind of my favorites. And then there's the top five that I just listen to currently. Uh, yeah, because those are usually pretty different. Because something that's really good that you really latch on to, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to listen to it all the time. It's like people who say like, "Oh yeah, there's this movie, Schindler's List. It changed my life, but I could only ever watch it the one time." Or for me, I think it was a Requiem of a Dream, for a Dream. I forget what it's called. Um, but that one fucked me up when I watched it, and it's so good. But I don't know how often I watch it. So with that same sort of concept, in the comments, go ahead and list either your top five bands or artists that have shaped you or that you listen to. Here's my list. Um, as far as bands that are like iconic for me or like my favorites, the list shifts every so often. There's like a rotating spot, but generally it's like Johnny Cash and David Bowie are like the top two. Those seem kind of weird, maybe, as choices, or maybe they seem kind of generic. But Johnny Cash, I came across, I think, in like middle school and high school. It's that impressionable age where, like, an outlaw, you see me wear the shirt where he's just like middle finger, and he was playing shows at prisons, and he was kind of like anti-authority. His first wife was black. Mm. So it seems like he's always been kind of counter culture, counter what the norm is, that sort of renegade spirit kind of thing. And I know a lot of what he's known for is he did a bunch of like gospel stuff too. And I'm not really like a religious person, and I don't necessarily like those. But yeah, like the general spirit and just like vibe of him as a person is something I kind of gravitate towards. or did in high school. Then when he later part of his career where he started doing all those covers, it's just like, oh yeah, those are artists that I like, and it doesn't really need explaining. Johnny Cash, he's great. Then David Bowie's just like a guy who changed and morphed, and it's one of those things where like I think I've mentioned before how every 7 years your body, the cells change, um, and like mentally like every like well, maybe every 15 to 20 years you kind of like upgrade and change the way you think. I'm probably close to my midlife crisis right now, but you change. So it's nice to have that kind of like representation where like the skinny young Duke or Major Tom or whatever, like he's physically transforming himself into other people. From a young age, you kind of like latch on to that. Just like it's okay to change. You don't have to be this one thing all the time. And yeah, like rock and roll and very androgynous looking dude. Um, Banged a bunch of supermodels. It's always the androgynous guys that get the hottest girls. It's so funny. But yeah, I don't know why I steered that way, but yeah, those two like guys specifically like impacted me in like pretty much like seeds of when I was a teenager of like just planted in my brain of like things that were cool and things like just their music like vastly different. And Bowie, he was kind of like changing and changing and changing. Uh, I think everyone likes all the old stuff, but I really gravitated towards the album Heathen, and then he did a reality tour, that DVD. I think it was a double DVD or double CD. It's an awesome concert. The song Sunday, mwah, like it's just awesome. Yeah, like those are like top two. Then after that, you kind of downgrade a little bit, and it becomes more about like the music. So like third place for me would probably be Tool, uh, if you couldn't tell. uh, just because of there's that added layer of complexity. There's all those polyrhythms. It starts to get more into like the spirit, um, shadow self, all that kind of stuff. So you kind of build an understanding of who you are as a person and how to grow. It's not just changing for the sake of changing. It's growing and getting better. Then Nine Inch Nails, I think, because I'm of this certain age where like he already existed and was out when I'm young. So you get into them a little later once they're more popular. Mm. But it's more the beginning stages of being like experimental. That ends up turning kind of commercial, but still evolves and does his own thing with Atticus Ross, where he starts doing um, like all these movie soundtrack kind of things. Like you can see the progression of the music, how it goes from being angry to all of a sudden there's an understanding of what it is you're making, and it just sort of funnels into a point where you can focus on expressing yourself. Like the first anger, it's just like rah, rah, it is. Here's everything I'm trying to say, and then slowly and slowly, that focus just gets more and more pressured into this point where you're actually more able to say what you want to say. Again, growth. Fifth spot is always like a rotating spot. Uh, just because you discover new artists and you like, oh, I want to listen to them for nothing but them for like a year. Oh, was this band has overtaken it? So I think previously like I had Muse in there. Excuse me, burped into the microphone again. I've seen them live a bunch of times, and I think at a certain point I had like Queens of the Stone Age. Um, who else did I have? I think I had like System of a Down in there at one point, but I think right now I've reverted back to. I'd probably put Ramstein up in there, and that's more like a generic kind of like not as complex thing, but it's one of those things where you listen to it and you're like, okay, you can repeat the same riff over and over, but it's more about the show. It's more about the entertainment aspect of it. It's oh look fireworks, fire, fire, fire everywhere, fire, fry, and it's a little bit more exotic. Obviously, it's in a different language than what I speak. Um, yeah, there's just this showmanship to it, and then yeah, like I don't need to explain. If you know who Ramstein are, um, yeah. So those are like the top five for me. Uh, Switching over into what I said as far as like having two top fives. What I generally listen to on any given day, like if I want to listen to music, what do I put on? Top five in no particular order. Tool is gonna transfer from that list to this list. It's gonna be the only one that does that because I love Tool, and I never get tired of their music. I can listen to it all the time, all the time. I never get bored of it. In addition to that, I'd probably put Opeth in there. Um, yeah, because there's like the variety of what they like actually put out. So you have like Damnation era stuff, which is more subdued and jazzy and like really like quiet. Then you'll get into something like I guess Blackwater Park has like a mixture, but like they'll get into some really dark, heavy kind of thing. Um, so there's variety, so you never get bored of it because from song to song, it could be like a completely different atmosphere, completely different kind of emotion. So yeah, um, what else would I listen to? Mastodon. I think they're really technically very good. I think like Crack the Sky like fucking blew my mind. Like that whole album is just fucking amazing. Like everything else they've done, I feel like they in any given album like half of it is like amazing, the other half is good. That album was just like from beginning to end, bam, nothing but bangers. Um, but yeah, they're technically really good. I like how they rotate the singing. Sometime this person will sing, sometimes this person will sing, sometimes this person will sing. So there is again variety that kind of way because they all have their personalities, their different personalities. So they're not just copying each other or like reinforcing the same kind of sound. But yeah, cool. Um, what else would I put in there? Probably like Meshuggah, which is funny because when I first discovered them, I think I was either in high school or just out of high school. Um, where like I was big into like Slayer, Static X, and Ramstein, and I went into Meshuggah, and I didn't get it. I didn't get it. Like it sounded like the brown note. Like it was at that point I couldn't. It didn't make sense to me. So like I spent a couple years where like I just ignored them, and eventually when I did come back to them, at that point I had listened to much more music and like my vocabulary, musical vocabulary had expanded enough to where when I listened to the a newer album, it clicked and it just made sense and I went back to the album that I had heard before and it clicked and I liked it. And yeah, they're super fucking heavy and everything is so elaborate and like just exactly in the place that it should be. So like again, like if I just want to put something on, I generally right now I'm in the mood where I want to put something really dark and heavy, or and just like pulsating kind of beat. Uh, yeah, yeah, that does it for me. It does it for me. Fifth. I think I need one more. I had someone in mind. I had these already plotted in my head. Um, but the one I wanted, I've already forgotten it. So what I'll do is I'll actually veer off and do something else. Uh, what I've been listening to a lot lately is like Massive Attack. A little bit of a trip hop kind of thing, but just because I again that's kind of down tempo sometimes, and rotating singers. Sometimes it'll be that reggae guy. Sometimes it'll be a woman's voice, like a really ethereal kind of thing. Sometimes it'll be like a guy rapping, or one of the main producers raps sometimes too. So like from track to track, it's gonna vary. And given that I'm listening to so much like aggressive kind of stuff, it's nice to have some subdued down tempo music to listen to in contrast. So, yeah, those five versus the other five seem like completely different people created those lists, maybe. Uh, but yeah, that's generally what I listen to or what I like to listen to. An additional point, I have a favorite song that is an artist that's not in either of those lists, which is hilarious. Uh, but in addition to these top five, my favorite song ever in the world, and it's been that way for years and years and years, and I don't think I've come across anything that even like remotely challenges it. But my favorite song is "Shine On, You Crazy Diamond" by Pink Floyd, like a 13-minute song. It's fucking like just the greatest thing in the world. So I want it to be kind of positive this video, and just start off the night by again being positive. And what's more positive than just giving you list of things that I like? So in the comments, go ahead and put on your list of top five. Either column A, column B, what you really like or what you just listened to, or consequently, if you don't want to devote that much time, what's your favorite song? Do you have one? A lot of people, I hate when you ask someone, like, what's your favorite this or this or this? And they're always like, oh, I don't know. Oh, there's so many to choose from. I could have never. That's a lie. You have a favorite. You might just be embarrassed to say, or you. I don't know. But sit down right now and just think. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Because if it does, it comes up right away. There's a reason for that. Leave a comment.